Welcome to Psychic Evolution with evidential psychic medium Jamie Clark and spiritual coach and healer Maggie Clark.
And welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is the podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts.
And these abilities are so natural. They're supernatural.
And today we want to bring you back into your spiritual room, and we're going to do some chalkboard training in your spiritual room. Now, we're going to talk about what this means at the beginning of this podcast and then jump into the exercise at the end of the podcast. So if you're driving, maybe save this exercise for when you're home and you're in a place of stillness where you can actually go into your mindsight, into your spiritual room and really get some things moving. In addition, today, we really want to touch base on how to develop this clairvoyance and clairsentient abilities. These are the two clairs that we're going to work with today as we're in our spiritual room doing chalkboard training. Now, we've had lots of questions about specific exercises to help build clairsentience and clairvoyance. And we've been listening to you, listeners, and thank you guys so much for your questions. We love communicating with you, hearing from you, and really listening to what you want to develop in your psychic evolution.
And keeping it easy, keeping it simple and able to work in your day-to-day living. And like Mag is saying, for myself, if you're driving, don't do any of these things. Keep it clean and clear. And when you have the time to relax and quiet the mind, then it might be the most productive time to do that. In addition, it's not that you always have to go to a certain location to work on your abilities. And as we move along with the clairvoyance and the clairsentience, we want to give you some of the tools and techniques that we do so that, it works for us. And if you want to put these to the test, you might find some other ways of working with your abilities more consistently.
So we're going to start with clairsentience because this is the ability of just knowing that you can trust the information, the messages, your feelings, your psychic impressions around situations. And there's several ways to go about developing clairsentience. Now, when we build out our spiritual room, we have other podcast episodes on how to do this. So go back and listen to those for sure. And if you aren't sure which ones, just go to our website, go to the episode page, put in the search bar, spiritual room, and those episodes will pop up for you. So once you are in your spiritual room, which is basically just a room that you're creating in your mindsight where you can go practice working with your psychic and mediumship gifts. Also, you can connect with your guides here. You can connect with your higher self here, wherever it is that you want to be doing. Now, the clairsentient chair is the seat of the soul. This is where you're going to place yourself in your spiritual room. So when you put yourself into your spiritual room, you're going to have a seat. And you make this seat look however you want it to look. You might be sitting on the ground. You might be in a lawn chair. You might be in a comfy, cozy recliner. Whatever seat is comfortable for you, where you feel like you can relax, where you feel completely safe and just super, totally cool, right? So you make this chair as cool as you want to make it. And once you are there, you're going to basically know that now you are connecting directly to your soul. That means you're connecting to your soul wisdom. You're connecting to the everlasting part of who you are. You're connecting to your Solodex of information, which is every experience you've ever had in every lifetime in this entire universe. So when you're in this chair, there's a magnitude of energy, a magnitude of information that you can connect with. But this is where we want to say, hey, soul, you know better than I know sometimes how I feel. So let me place myself in where I can feel into my soul wisdom.
We've done these training techniques for many years. But in addition, I also wanted to be able to work on my abilities in my day-to-day living. I didn't always have the opportunity to set hours aside and take the time. I wanted to do the best I can to function in the day-to-day living, so I'm in this, but not of it. And in working with the clairsentient abilities, because we have you sitting in the seat of the soul, but it's also the ability to feel that information and then get an outcome. We want a reference of practicality, because to me, you could feel all you want, but if you have no reference what it's playing out as or what you're feeling, do 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 do. And so for myself, the ability to feel that clairsentient ability is if I'm driving down the street and there's a vehicle in front of me, I'll feel, how does it feel that that car might go? Is it going to continue to go straight? Might it pull into the left lane? Might it pull into the right? And I'll feel it. And a lot of times it ends up being the way that I felt it. Now, not only is it the practicality of being able to do it in your day to day, but it's also the ability to use these abilities in your day to day living where you don't have to sit and meditate. You're already in that state of awareness so that you can feel the life force energy. My day to day living, I can be in it but not of it and make sound decisions by what I feel. That clairsentience ability is knowing how you know something. You don't know how you know it, you just know it. The ability to know information and feel it. So for me, starting off many years as we do in my spiritual room and the meditations and the visualizations, once I got enough comfort and consistency with those abilities, I was able to start working with them in my day-to-day living, my experiences that I didn't say a lot to people. This was my own ability to work with it, so I didn't have to be on, and it was just comfortable, casual, and fun. Because I found that if I started having fun with these dynamics, with these tools and techniques, it became a lot more enticing, a lot more revealing, and a lot more feeling of the energy that goes with it.
One very specific technique to use with your clairsentient seat of the soul is take a life experience that you had during your day. So you're at work and you're observing, take something that's very neutral, that's not too close to your personal triggers, right? But you're observing behavior between two people in your workplace. And it kind of has like a weird energy or an emotional charge or something that, really caught your attention. I want you to take yourself into your spiritual room, into the seat of the soul, and then replay what that scene looks like. And as you're replaying it, pull up your screen. Okay. And this is where we practice clairsentience with clairvoyance in tandem. Okay. So we're working with both of these clairs and ask your soul or your higher self or your master guide, whoever it is that you're communicating with or want help from, ask your master guide, hey, I would like to revisit this to see if what I was picking up psychically, intuitively, through my feelings was accurate. So as your soul is helping you replay this experience, I want you to just feel into the seat of the soul and watch it happen in a very neutral way. And then say, I would like to know if what I was feeling was accurate. And as you are sitting there and just feeling into this experience, I want you to watch it across the screen. But when you're feeling something, I want you to pause it, like you pause a movie, and literally pause the memory and then say, okay, is there any message here? Or say, hey, I was really feeling like there was some weird energy and this person's motivation was like XYZ. Was that correct? And then see if something happens as you're watching that. Maybe in the clairvoyant movie, something lights up to say yes, right? Or you get like a check mark in that movie screen saying, yes, that's correct. You might get a wavy line saying, kind of, but not completely 100%. You can create these markers too with your master guide. So you can say, okay, master guide, I want to see a green check mark if I'm correct, or I want to see a red square if it's not right at all of what I'm feeling, or I want to see a wavy line if I've got some of that right, but I'm not getting all the information. Now watch this scene move by, this little snippet, this little movie clip of a life experience that you had in the workplace. And then once it's completed and you've paused it, then in that seat of your soul, in your clairsentience, say, okay, is there any other psychic information that I can read through this? And maybe you play that movie back. Maybe you pause it and dive into someone's energy field and say, what more is here to explore? Is there more information as I read this energy of this person? Is it connected to something of their past? Is it connected to something of their present? Is it connected to something of their future? And then if you feel that that's accurate, one of those scenarios, say, show me. And then watch what comes up on your screen, because now it's a new movie. It's not a memory, but it could be a clairvoyant expression of something that's happening in this person's life.
And not only that, for myself, if there's a decision that I made and it may not have been the most productive, then I'll go back in a visualization and I'll see myself making another choice, another dynamic, so that I don't feel like I'm missing out on certain life experiences and dynamics. And so you realize what's happening right now as we're doing this visualization. Not only are you sitting in your spiritual room, you're sitting in the seat of your soul, you're working with your clairvoyance, your clairsentience, and oh yeah, your master guide. So now we can see how naturally things can be orchestrated and integrated so that it's not discombobulating. It's your guides know you. They know how to give you the information. And like Mag is sharing, for myself, if you can pause that and then reach in your energy, sometimes that reaching in again from the paused energy can give you a different perspective. Like, okay, because I was in that experience, but I was only seeing it one way. Now that I got to be a little bit more of the observer, I'm starting to see that there were a few other ways. And okay, when I started going through that and a variety of different decisions, that if I make this choice, here's most likely what's going to happen. If I make this choice, here's most likely what's going to happen. It feels great because I can help myself. And our guides know the best way to help us. Notice on average, they don't usually push anything in your life. Some people are like, I don't know, they've never bugged me and whatever. And it's like, right, that's the point. They're there on your team, but whenever, if ever, you're consciously wanting to connect, they're there. And notice, we just want to give you that conscious connection to go, we all had the same circumstances. And for myself, discovering more of who my master guide is allowed me to work with my intuitive abilities more comfortably as well. Arriving at comfort, safety, and harmony for myself is very, very important, because when I've got the comfort and safety, I'm completely open and receptive. If I didn't know I was safe, I hope, but nope. Keep it real easy and keep it effortless. Work with the simplicity of it and build on that.
And if you're really early in your gifts and you're really not receiving too much, it's totally fine. Don't push it. Take a breather, take a break, just relax. This is one of those things where we're using our psychic skills and our impressions and our feelings like a muscle. So we want to be able to actively work with it, but don't do this for like hours and hours and hours on end. It's not what we would recommend. Just dive in for like 10, 20 minutes. You could dive in for 5 minutes into the spiritual room to do this exercise, because it is a little bit tiring at times. Okay. So don't worry if you're not getting if you say, but I want to see a green check mark and a red X. Well, if that's not how you're receiving the information, or if that's not working, it's okay. But what's important here is that we are learning how to trust, deeply trust our senses as we're navigating life experience. Now, I always recommend journaling, guys. Always, always, always. I have discovered more yeses, more connection to my higher self, more validations than I ever could have possibly imagined. My method has been journaling to get so many of those validations. So please, please go back to some of these basics and write it out. Write out that movie. Okay. So if you go into your spiritual room and you're not getting a lot of information, or you're not feeling comfortable or confident yet, I want you to journal about that experience. Literally journal about it. Just get it all out. Get it out of your head onto paper, and then say, is there anything else here that I feel could be a message from this experience? And then just start writing. This is sometimes called automatic writing. It's also a way of writing through channeling. Yet it is an exercise where you're co-creating this with your higher self. Once your brain gets all of the stuff out of it, the memory, the this, the that, then the higher self has a chance to speak up. And then we get a chance to listen. But sometimes we got to clear the space in our minds so that we can open to what's already there. They're already communicating with us. They're already with us all the time. But we need to figure out a way to tap into that versus what we are thinking about the situation. So sometimes journaling before going in your spiritual realm is a great exercise to clear the mind of your relationship to it, making it a little bit more neutral and then a little bit more connected. So the higher self, the master guide, who you're working with, can filter through, come through, and really give you more information or more feeling around the situation.
And when you can read energies with yourself and your master guide, and then, as I say, getting outcome, because I could feel all I want, but if there's no accuracy, whatever. So it's the ability that I needed to have that comfort of trust, the best that I can. And our guides are very patient. They're not trying to make us have to listen. It's like, hey, I'm talking with you. I'm communicating. Do you want to listen or not? And, oh yeah, that kind of building a Rolodex of information. For me, just like Mag is saying, and writing it down, or for me, I record into my phone now because I have that a lot more than a pen and paper, and I can get everything that I'm saying now and then transcribe it. So again, whatever works for you. But it's also the ability that I was able to write down what my dynamic was of going into that spiritual room. So then I wanted to be in the spiritual room, and when I came out, did I have a different perspective? Was there other insights that maybe I wasn't aware of before I went in that now I'm realizing as I come back out of that and realizing that that information's there? I just needed to find my way of knowing what's right and what's not as I perceive it.
That is such a great point, Jamie, is like really reflecting on what did I come out of my spiritual room that I didn't have when I went in? And sometimes that reflection goes, oh my God, I am being communicated with my guides, or I am really tapping into my gifts. And it's those little things that give us hope and inspiration and allow us to build trust in building our gifts. There's so many different ways to build your psychic abilities, and the spiritual realm is just one of them. And a lot of people say, well, I can't get relaxed. My mind is too crazy. And again, this is practice. Like I said, get those thoughts out, journal about them, maybe tell someone the story a time and so you can turn it off, whatever it is that will help you to just kind of go in from a different level, but you will be surprised what you come out of that room with that you didn't have going in. Maybe it's a sense of peace. Maybe it's a sense of trust. Maybe it's a direct message. We have to think about our spiritual room as a place of developing and growing and expanding into who we are and our relationships to so many aspects of our gifts. And they're so natural. They're supernatural. Like these gifts are playing out all the time. So we don't usually say, oh, that was definitely a psychic read. We just said, no, I just felt it, or it was a gut feeling, or it was my intuition. And trust those things. These are your psychic gifts, guys. Your psychic gifts are always on, always on. And sometimes we feel like disconnected or it's not as clear as it was when I was younger. We hear this a lot. We get a lot of questions about why is it faded out? And for me, that happened as well. I tuned out, turned down my gifts at a younger age and had to reopen them. And it does take time to reopen them to the point where you remember how it was when you were a child. But it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Give yourself some patience with this. We turn that volume down for a reason so we could be in this reality and co-create realities and learn what we need to learn while we're here. And when it's prevalent, we can tap back in to that other side and that veil becomes a lot thinner when we're ready. But we do have to anchor here in this reality and feel grounded here. So there's reasons that sometimes we choose to turn the volume down or forget some things or not work with our gifts consciously. But if you are working with your gifts consciously, go into it and see how you can build trust. So hang tight, guys. We're going to be right back and we're going to dive into these chalkboard exercises in your spiritual room. So we'll be right back.
Hey guys, it's Jamie and Maggie Clark with Psychic Evolution. We want to share an upcoming Starseed Awakening Retreat.
We're teaming up with Infinite Healing from the Stars. That's Vivian Chavette, an Octurian hybrid, and Peter Benson with Tensor Energy Tools. And we're joining them for a weekend retreat in Phoenix, Arizona, July 22nd through 24th of 2022. And we're here to assist you in discovering your purpose as a starseed and how to align and activate your starseed DNA. Let the ascension begin with this multidimensional, intergalactic, and interactive journey. Included will be Arcturian holographic healing, ancestral starseed mediumship, planetary grid realignment, and exercises to embody your starseed DNA. You are cosmic celestial energy. Visit jamieclark.net to register and for more information. We look forward to gathering with like-minded starseeds.
Free your inner space astronaut and immerse yourself in your starseed heritage.
And for our podcast listeners, we do have a coupon code to take $75 off your registration at checkout. Enter the coupon code INTERGALACTIC and pay attention at checkout to see what your total is, because the language of the universe is always speaking to you. And welcome back. Let's dive in. Let's see what we can accomplish with our chalkboard in our spiritual room with our clairsentient and clairvoyant abilities. I have really loved working with the tarot cards because it has allowed me to really build trust. I can look into a card and look deeper into a situation than I could on a surface level. And so I was really big about using my tools to help me gain the level of trust in my reads. Now I can throw down cards and go with the cards, but still trust everything that I'm feeling around it. And it was a bridge for me. And I love, love, love bridges. So don't be afraid to use an oracle deck or a tarot deck or something that you feel is giving you more information around situations that's accurate. Or it just confirms what you already know. And you'd be surprised that you might do a reading for yourself and be like, okay, was that right? And you might pull an extra, maybe oracle deck, and that one card confirms everything that you just thought. Take it as a win. Take it as a trust builder, because this is 9 times out of 10, we're just building trust with our feelings.
And I think you bring up a very interesting point, which we talk about, and that is that our abilities do not control us. We control our abilities. But I'm also kind of equating that with our guides, because that ability to tune in, we'll turn the volume down and notice our guides aren't making us have to connect. It's okay, you don't want to connect, you want to turn it down? Great, I love you, I'm still here. Just whenever, if ever you want to do this. And for myself, I found that the more I was able to understand my life, I was able to see it from my seat of the soul on the console, and I was able to start seeing life experience as not only the observer, but the experiencer. And when I could start going multidimensional in that way, it also gave me an ability that as I'm watching that on my screen, there were some actions and some circumstances that got my attention that I didn't see in that original conversation or the original experience. And then I started realizing that, oh, we are fully evolved already. It's how long does it take for you to allow that to integrate and happen? But notice again that we have complete control over making these connections or not. And they'll honor it. They're not going to force us, because if they did that and you didn't want to, it's not your team. You'd be siding against yourself kind of thing. The ability to work with these characteristics, this multidimensionality, and realize that you can read circumstances and experiences, energy, in many different ways, and giving myself sometimes seeing things a little differently for that particular circumstance that I saw one way my whole life gave me the empowerment. And in this case, it was the healing to go, okay, there was more of a connection. There was a lot deeper of a level of love and understanding, whereas my surface level was like, da, 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 da. And once I got to tap in from the seat of my soul, realized that, wait a minute, it's okay to be me. It's okay to make our connections in whatever way we feel is productive, because the universe is always for us and never against us. And that's kind of like our team as well, our spiritual team. To me, you don't always have the same guide. Sometimes you have trades and other guides who come in for life experience and soul growth and kind of stuff. But for myself, I also have that complete faith, trust, and open receptivity to any guides that are coming through, because I know if they're my guides, they're on a great channel and they know how to connect with me very effectively, very consistently. And doing that in the spiritual room gave me an opportunity to go, okay, I'm in a quiet place. I'm reserved. I'm light. I'm interacting with my reality, so that when I went out into the physical life, I was able to understand my life experience more effectively of what got me to this point. And instead of going, I don't know whatever happened and how I got here, it's okay. I've been able to see this. I've been able to feel it. I've been able to experience it in the seat of my soul, in my spiritual room, that I didn't have to go any place but within. That ability is to find all of the answers within. I started realizing that we do have a lot of the answers within, but it also became the ability to act on those answers or solutions or whatever the case was, to know that it was valid, that there was accuracy. Because for me, those who know me know I'm very practical. What are these tools and meditations and mantras manifesting, or why am I doing it? I wanted that practical energy. And being able to trust those feelings. Because again, my thing, I question everything, I study everything, is it felt a certain way. Now, what was the outcome to that feeling of a certain way? It became levels of feeling, that language of the soul, that had many different levels of understanding for that one circumstance. And when I was able to start expanding my awareness on many different levels for the one experience, the one circumstance, it gave me more of a fullness of the heart and soul with living, and the ability to see it and feel it more. No longer the bottom of the heart and soul was surviving. And it became the empowerment that as I found myself within life, I found that life within me. And it began to come to the surface of consciousness. And it's that inner awareness that is not always easy for a lot of people. Yeah, who am I and what am I going? And if I go down that rabbit hole, what am I going to freaking find? You. So also with the ability to quiet the mind, because we have the day-to-day ego, we got to pay the bills, we got to do this, all that. Don't try to stop it. A lot of people, I can't stop it. Then quit trying to stop it. Let it play itself out. Don't label it. Just follow it wherever it goes. Just let it be an experience. Because then we begin to see that life is but an experience and only holds the value that we place upon it.
So we want to take you into your spiritual room again. We're still in the spiritual room, still sitting in the seat of the soul. We want to give you some practical application of using your clairvoyant muscles, so to speak. So I would recommend choosing either a white or a black background. Okay, so this is going to be your chalkboard. And if it's white, you're going to have, most likely you'll have any color coming up onto that chalkboard, but you might just work with black and white to begin with. So it's really, really clear. And if you choose a blackboard, you will have a white come up. Okay, so just start with something simple. And then you can add additional colors later as ways of getting more information around things.
And I believe we're talking about the colors of the markers, right? The chalk. Not necessarily the color of the background.
Correct.
Okay.
Now you can change the color of the background, but we recommend picking white or black and just leaving it there for this exercise. And it's going to be super simple. Just open up your mind, okay, and say, I would like to see a line appear, and watch the line appear. Well, we'll give you 5 shapes to work with. And then say, I would like the triangle to appear. I would like a square to appear. I would like a circle to appear. I would like a star to appear. And these are the 5 shapes that you can just start working with. And then say, okay, awesome. And then what you're doing is you're training your mind to see things in your mindsight. Okay, see things on this board. After doing this several times, just do it several times, change up the order. And then you're going to ask your master guide, say, hey, okay, I would like you to show me a shape, and then you're going to write down what that shape is, or you're going to just lock it in and train yourself to be receiving and ask them to change the order, right? Or make it random. Okay. Now we also use psychic evolution training cards to work with this exercise so that you can really get it. Like you can really pick up on what you're seeing. This goes well in tandem with the psychic evolution training cards or just shape cards or whatever you might have handy. And once you've done this training exercises, then you can take out these cards, take out the shapes, shuffle the 5 shapes, and really vibe what that is and ask to see it on your screen. Take your time with this exercise and don't get frustrated. If you get over 50%, you're doing amazing. Just realize this. Okay, you're doing amazing. And over time, you'll be able to develop this because it's something that you're training your mind to see.
In addition, I think you bring up a very good point. And for myself, I wanted the practicality. On that chalkboard, I have my color, and then my master guide has his own unique color. You can have your guides, angels, whoever it is that you want to work with, be a specific color so that you know when that specific color is on that chalkboard, it is that being, that consciousness that's connecting. Why? Because you've already put those parameters around it, your rules and regs. They want to help us to be successful, not to be a challenge. Go, up, you're not going to. The more that we open up and learn to trust and get the accuracy that there is information to trust, becomes a little bit more effective at relaxing and allowing this communication to happen. But again, for myself, because I'm very practical, I wanted to know when I'm thinking and receiving my own information, and then when a master guide, in this case Chi, or another guide is a different color, because I know specifically that that guide will only use that color so that there's no guesswork. It's that type of efficiency that the more I have an awareness of, not that I'm controlling things, but to a certain extent, I'm directing them, and then they know how to play their part beautifully.
I love that, Jamie. I've never even tried that, changing the color for my master guide. I'm definitely going to go into meditation today and try this. This is fantastic. See, and even though I've been doing this, oh my gosh, almost 30 years, I still learn new techniques. I still can grow. I can still expand. This is what your psychic evolution is all about. We can be really good at one thing, but we can work to grow in so many areas of our psychic evolution. I love this exercise, Jamie.
And the ability to have the comfort of knowing your own receptivity of information and who and where you're getting it from. Because then you'll be very effective at seeing life experience and knowing whoever the guide is that is the most effective read for that particular circumstance or person will come through to communicate with me. Because no one's the same physically, they're not going to be the same metaphysically. So our guides have the versatility to communicate with us in whatever way we are asking them to communicate. They want to set us up for comfort and trust.
Another technique that I've been working with within my own spiritual room has been asking that doorway to my guides to open. And it's such a simple little thing because we want it to be open all the time, but we get really busy. We get in our own lives. We do things. Not everyone can keep that door open all the time. So it's something that I've been working with of going in and just going into a meditation, say, okay, I want to open up that doorway. I want to open up the portal or whatever we want to call it to my guides and to the angels and to my spiritual team. Now, when I do that, I do feel a different energy pull. I don't always hear things. I don't always see things, but I feel an opening and expanding. And so again, when we're starting to develop new gifts, remember that it's going to be a process of how we can receive information and how they can communicate with us. So the more you practice opening up these doorways, opening up your mind, practicing working with various things that you can imagine. Remember, we're working with our imagination here. When we're in our spiritual room and we're seeing something on a screen, that's our imagination. It might be playing itself out like a memory, but when we pause it, we have to exercise control over that mind, that imagination. So we're working with our mind in such a different way than we normally do because we have a sense of orchestration that we can oversee with our mind itself. And this is what clouds some of our meditations. It clouds like our everyday life of being able to relax and not be so stressed out sometimes is controlling the mind. So when you're working with this exercise, it's going to do something twofold for you. Not only is it going to help you develop your psychic gifts, it's going to help you have more control over your mind. And once you have that, it's a lot easier to hear your master guide. It's a lot easier to go forward in building certain things with your psychic gifts because you know what's your thoughts and what's not. And we do have an episode, The Law of Mentalism, back in, I think, season 1 or 2, that really helps give you an idea of why this is so valuable in our practice.
And another dynamic, just to keep it easy, is I imagine in my mindsight that if I'm open to start working and receiving information, my door's open. If I'm not, the door's closed. Give yourself an opportunity to realize if you're ready, you open the door consciously. If not, it's closed, so you realize you're in control. But in addition, the ability to be able to open up with safety and harmony is a huge dynamic of communication. I know there was a guy who said many years ago, I stand and knock on every door. Hello, McFly. And I come to all alike. And do you want to open that door of consciousness or do you not?
Who said that?
JC.
Oh.
I am knocking on equal, and however he shared that as we perceive it. But it also became the fact that I wanted to have a practical way. If I did, because now it's not an open or closed door, I just am on all the time. And I have my volume that if I'm not working, it's turned down. But I also have my emergency button that if, like I've shared, if I'm standing in line or if I'm able to help somebody and I'm not working, if they get my attention, boop, you're on. Okay, what do I need to do? Who do I need to say it to? Or where are we going with this? It became a comfort that I know that I can be in the world, but not of it. I was able to interact with other people, but not wear all of their energies. So it's that greatness that I can go in and I feel the energy. I'll read it, give you the insight, and then you're taking it with you because I ain't wearing it. It becomes that vibration of intent that allows me to be comfortable and confident in this arena.
And the more you practice, the more focus you will have. You know, I was driving down the street practicing opening up this dimension, this doorway to my spiritual team while I was driving, and I was like, okay, I want to see, can I do this while I'm doing everyday life experiences? And where's my focus? Where's my clarity? Well, part of my brain has to drive. It has to focus on the traffic and where, using my turn signal and, whatever it is that I have to do while I'm driving. And then there's another part of my brain that is out there going, wow, they're like right here. All I had to do is ask to open the doorway. And it's that easy. Now, learning how to focus on two things at once allows these gifts to cultivate more effectively because, Jamie has to do this doing mediumship. He has to listen to the other side, what they're saying, and then find a way to communicate this or interpret what he's seeing, not interpret it, but like comprehend what he's feeling, what he's sensing, what he's seeing from the other side, and then find a way to speak it. So he's speaking, he's doing a presentation, he's joking around, and he's listening, right? So there's a lot of focus that goes into the dynamics, and all of these tools help you train to focus. And that's something that's really important is that the more focused you can allow your mind to be in a relaxed way, right? Not like a have to do this way. Like, don't be hard on yourself. Be gentle with yourself when you go through this, but really learning how to focus on more than one thing at the same time. And that's one of the reasons we bring you in your spiritual room, because what are you focused on? You're focused on relaxing, connecting, but then you're also giving yourself something to do. Turn a volume up, turn a volume down. Listen, watch the screen, press pause at that movie. What is going on? So we're asking you to do two things at once. Be open to the messages and the energy and the intuition and the psychic messages that are coming in, and then also give the other part of your brain something else to do. And I feel once we have this level of control or focus, it does allow us to see, sense, hear, feel much more with our psychic evolution.
And the ability to work with that vehicle as you're driving down the street, the practicality is also what I kind of vibe with when we drive long distances. We're in that vehicle, but we get on a bzzz energy, and more than likely, a lot of things are playing in our mind, and we're just letting it happen to go, I'm still driving, here we go. And it becomes that ability to be multidimensional. Not only are you aware of the direction you're going, the road, and the people that are on it, but on your spiritual road, your spiritual direction, and your door of consciousness that you're able to open and multifold use. I think that that's a bigger dynamic, is having the comfort of what we can all work with, but what feels right for you uniquely, starting with yourself. And then you can expand with others.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Psychic Evolution today. We are so honored you're taking this journey. We are so proud of you that you were working with some of these exercises and you're asking questions. Be patient with yourself, love yourself through the process, and remember, all of this is happening all the time, all around you. It's just a matter of tuning into those channels, working with them, and developing more of your connection, because you've got this. You've always been, you always will be, and we are honored to do this journey with you.
In our psychic evolution.
Hello, my beautiful goddesses. It's Maggie from the podcast Psychic Evolution, and I want to invite you to a fall equinox 5-day, 4-night, all-inclusive women's retreat in 2022, where you explore your feminine essence through the potent medicine of the goddess, witch, and womb, the multifaceted essence of your wild woman. Are you ready to take the time for you? This is a true escape from reality where you will learn, grow, and nurture your soul, as well as rest and reset. Gather with like-minded sisters to explore the essence of feminine magic, what it means to be embodied, how to love yourself on a deeper level than you ever have before, through ancient ceremonial magic and the spirit of plants. This journey into the unknown will create space for the breakthroughs you've always hoped for. Visit mysticharmonyrose.com to register and for more information. And I am honored to join you in Sedona at this retreat. I look forward to seeing you there. If you have been enjoying this podcast, we please ask that you go to Apple Podcasts and go ahead and rate this podcast. Leave us an awesome review. We really appreciate your reviews. They mean a lot to us. And thank you so much. If you are listening to this on something other than Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review on our website. We also have a little microphone on the bottom right-hand corner of our website. If you want to ask a question and leave us a question, it will be a voicemail recorded. We'll play back your voice on this podcast and answer your questions. If we can get to them all, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you guys.
Love and light, and we'll see you in our psychic evolution.